بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. One of the Shaykh who study with us in Madrasa al-Hanbaliya sent me a question. He said, what is the Hanbali position on the Hadrah movement whilst doing dhikr, drums in the background? Does the Qadiri tariqa contain the above during the dhikr? And then I think he rephrased the question and he said, is it permissible for a Hanbali to take part in the Hadrah, which consists of rhythmic movements and synchronized breathing? Barakallahu fikum. طيب وفيكم بارك الله. I will tackle the topic in general, regardless of these questions. So I might ignore certain parts of these questions. They might be irrelevant to al-ilm. I'm not going to answer for the part that says the Qadiri tariqa does so and so. You know that the Qadiri tariqa has many branches. So everyone who calls himself a Qadiri might say or do things differently from others, which means that we should not just consider things by their names. We should consider the meanings, and we should also consider al-muwafaqa lil-kitab wa sunnah, whether they agree or disagree with al-kitab wa sunnah. This is also important. So let's talk about al-hukm al-shar'i. Let's talk about what the Hanabila say when it comes to these issues. He said al-Hadrah. Al-Hadrah is, and he defined al-Hadrah at some point, regardless of the definition. What is al-Hadrah? What do we mean by al-Hadrah? If we mean a dhikr, to gather and do a dhikr, till here we do not have a problem. But this is like halqa al-dhikr, and this is not permissible because the Prophet ﷺ didn't do it, the companions didn't do it. Again, if you are ignorant to the extent that you seek evidence in the Prophet ﷺ not doing, then we have no discussion with you. You need to learn. Come and learn first, and then we can continue the discussion. Secondly, who told you that they didn't do it? They did it. The companions, Ridwanullahi alayhim, did it. Where you are not even qualified to see the adillah. I'm not going to discuss the adillah with you. You are inferior, and you should not be addressed in the way of al-mashayikh or scholars or ulama. And if you are a layman, you are inferior. You have to understand this. If I sound disrespectful, remember that disrespect was done first when a layman considered him or herself a person of knowledge. This is huge disrespect, not to the people of knowledge, to al-ilm itself in the first place. طيب. People gather to do a dhikr, permissible. Who said so among the Hanabila? Shaykh ibn Balban. You study أقصى المختصرات, you study كافي المبتدي, you study قلائد العقيان. This is Ibn Balban. He said so. Where did he say so? مختصر الإفادات. مختصر الإفادات. Ibn Balban is a person who followed the Qadiri tariq, who narrated who mentioned his isnad to the Qadiri tariq. This is Ibn Balban. Where did he do so? In his thabat, in his ijazat. So to gather, to do a dhikr, this is permissible. Movement, dancing, what is the ruling of this? Our mashayikh of al-tasawwuf taught us, and they are different turuq. Yani they belong to different turuq. This is what I received from the mashayikh here in Egypt. To dance, to move, it's not permissible unless it's something that you do without, unintentionally, without meaning it. For instance, you see a lot of people who recite al-Quran, they do this while reciting al-Quran, or this. Other turuq might allow movement, they might have evidences. I'm telling you about what I received. And this would be the issue of halal and haram in the state of doing a dhikr. But we all agree on a dhikr being done, recommended, a part of the deen, maybe a very important part of the deen. Wallahu al-musta'an. So the Hadrah, when people gather to do dhikr, this is permissible. To dance, هذا haram. And according to what I understand from our madhab, although they do not state this in a lot of books in a clear way, that no, dancing is not permissible while doing a dhikr. Drums, a duf should be used in certain cases and should be used by women, and in certain cases in our madhab. And some shaykh allow this. I wouldn't do it. So for a Hanbali, I would say do not do it, do not attend if there is duf, especially when it's played by men or when it's hit by men. This is against al-muru'ah, and this is obvious. It should be done by women, maybe young girls or something, and it harms one's muru'ah to do so. And this shouldn't be the case in majalis al-dhikr. However, these issues are issues of khilaf, fiqhi issues of khilaf, have nothing to do with al-aqaid. So if you see someone doing it, there is no inkar, there is no disapproval or rejection or forbidding evil when it's an issue of khilaf, which means that you have a different opinion in a different madhab according to a different mujtahid or so. Remember this. Do not do it. My advice, do not do it. As a Hanbali, do not do it. No inkar. لا إنكار في المختلف فيه. The breathing, the movement, we answered the part of the movement. The part of the breathing, this happens in some of the turuq. I have never heard of it in the Qadiri tariqa, at least the one we follow here in Egypt. Maybe it exists, but I have never heard of it. The synchronized breathing or so. And if this happens, in my opinion, it would be because we want to be saying the zikr at the same time in order not to have chaotic sounds or people not hearing one another, because each one says a part of the word different from the other, especially if the dhikr becomes long. If you say La ilaha illallah, for instance, this is easy. If you say Allah, this is easy. But if you say La ilaha illallah and you add something to it, it would be difficult to say it unless we maybe breathe at the same time, or we say it while breathing in a similar way. This has nothing to do with the Sharia, how you breathe while doing a dhikr. This has nothing to do with a Sharia. But we say that dancing is not permissible, according to even some of the Shadhuli Mashaykh we took from, because of not being appropriate for a dhikr. Dhikr has to be done in a respectful way. طيب. What else? I think this is everything. So if you still ask about the ruling of al-Hadrah, go attend al-Hadrah as long as it's just dhikr. What is al-Hadrah? It's dhikr. Yeah, these things that might be added to al-Hadrah, they are secondary. So if you are following the Hanbali madhab, I'm telling you there are no clear statements on this. However, if you trust me, I'm telling you, do not do it. if this is what you doubt, if you do not doubt it, then you have no problem doing it. And there is another scholar that you trust, like a Shaykh, another scholar, I mean another madhab, not just a random scholar, who a person whom you call scholar, like the Salafiyin, how Salafiyin call themselves scholar and their people scholars. Yani someone whom you trust. If he says actually we allow this, our Mashaykh allowed this, we are following a certain madhab or a certain mujtahid who allowed this, do it, it's fine. If you're not comfortable doing it, I'm telling you, I never do this. I never go to these things. I do not do a dhikr while having music or duf or anything around, but we do al-dhikr in a group of people sitting together, saying it in an organized way and everything. And this is the sunnah actually in doing the dhikr. And I told you Ibn Balban, what Ibn Balban said in Mukhtasar al-Ifadat, and he made a chapter to talk about the fadl, the virtues of hilaq al-dhikr, the circles of al-dhikr. I think this is everything that I need to say. والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.